weekly podcast episode of Scale Riders Podcast. I am your host, 65 Lokes, and this is episode number 167, covering model car culture from around the world. Excited for this episode because we are interviewing the director slash CEO of Splash Paints. You heard it. His name is Sam. I got so many questions. I got to ask him. Got to get into this. Love his products. I know a lot of you guys use this stuff. We're going to hear it from the man himself. So let's just go right ahead and get into this. Thank you guys for listening.
Hi, Edgar.
Hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, dude. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. It's getting warm. Jeez.
Yeah. Right on. So you're in Portland, Oregon.
Yes.
That's dope. So this is where Splash Paints is based out of, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are correct.
Man, that is awesome, dude. And how far? Because you've been out here to California for like the NNL.
Yeah. So I used to go before the whole COVID thing. I used to go to NNL West, and yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's cool. And it was that like, did you do a drive or was it better just to fly out?
Yeah. So I actually drove down. It was about 10 or 11 hour drive. I just hauled the stuff since it was under 12 hours. I figured, I could do it in one day.
Yeah, right on, dude. Dang. Well, hey, I'm excited about this episode. I mean, me and you communicate a lot through email, Instagram, but to have
Yes,
you,
sir.
doing this on the podcast, it's pretty cool, dude. This is
Oh, hell
awesome.
yeah.
And there's I love your product. I know a lot of listeners use your products as well, and I thought this would be a special one because they could hear it from you. And I want to get into like the history and bring up some other things along the podcast. But I wanted to know, let's get things started by knowing like what made you want to start Splash Paints.
Yeah, so let's go back to 2017, 2018. I was in high school at the time, and I was running a small YouTube channel, and I used to just build stuff for fun. And honestly, I ended up getting sponsored by a competition. But as a lot of people know, the competitors weren't able to keep up. So I had I had issue getting my stuff that I could use to showcase on the YouTube channel, and it was just piling up, and people are waiting. I've seen as bad as like a year for their orders. So I was like, that's not right. So I ended up taking matters to my own hands, and that's how it started.
Man, that's crazy, dude. So in 2017, 18, you had just got out of high school.
So I was senior, and I started in community college. So I was 18 when I started it. Yes.
Crazy, man, dude. You're hella young, man.
Yep, I'm still kicking it.
That's dope, dude. That's awesome. I mean, I wish at your age, at that age, like to be already thinking about, maybe a business or starting stuff like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My mind at that age was somewhere else. But that's pretty dope, dude. And from there, starting up like Splash Paints, did you kind of? I mean, it's really hard. I know to map out like everything. I know you kind of go, but like, how was that? Like the beginning process, like the structure
Yeah.
when you started.
Yeah, so honestly, I just love learning new things, and anything new that happens in my life. I kind of take it as a learning lesson. So I started to, with the power of the internet, we can research a lot of things, and I was able to locate few good suppliers around for the business. So I ended up starting, meeting with supplier, communicating through emails and things like that, and setting all the logistics up. And definitely, I in high school I used to be in the sneaker game, and I used to repaint. They used to do like a repaint service on like
Mm.
retros and things like that.
Hmm.
Uh, so I used to do that in high school. So I kind of knew a little bit about paint, but I didn't know a whole lot. But I definitely learned a lot more by starting Splash Paints. Um, but yeah, it all started with the internet.
That's a trip, bro. That's cool. I'm glad you're telling me this. This is all like new to me. That's crazy. So, you know, there's a lot of things like me going back. I still remember going to NNL West. I want to say I don't know if it was it had to be 2018. I believe
Mm-hmm.
like my first like NNL experience that
Mm-hmm.
I'd went, and I do remember like seeing the booth.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time like I was still like I want to say I was fairly new to like modeling because
Yeah.
that was the first time I was going over there. I had done car modeling back then, but then
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until like 2015 where I like got back into it again.
Yeah.
And then around 2017, you know, I started meeting people like in the LA area, in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, they were the ones, you know, who introduced, like Armando
Right.
Flores was one of the, you know, first people that was
Mm-hmm.
introducing me to a lot
Yeah.
of people out here in the community. So being out there, I really didn't know too many people in Northern California. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew them on Instagram, but not like, you know,
In
who the
person.
person was, right?
Yeah.
But I still remember just kind of walking around the booths and kind of just looking, you know, but you
Yeah.
know, just if anything, I was just absorbing like what was going on and you know all
Mm-hmm.
the things. But I still remember like seeing the splash paints and everything.
No way.
But
That's awesome.
during that time, I
Yeah.
remember I was heavily into like House of Color paint.
Oh yeah.
So I never had used splash or anything. You know, I was seeing it for the first time. But one of my friends, Luis Javier Cano, he lives in Northern California. I
Mm-hmm.
remember he was the one
Leap.
who he bought some splash. Later he was telling me like, "Oh, they got some cool like colors I'm gonna use for like my interiors and things like that."
Mm-hmm.
And he was more the one that was telling me like, "Yeah, these are like ready to spray. Like just shake them up and you
Yep.
know they're good to go." And I was like, "All right." So, you know, it like
Okay.
it took time and then later like when I was like, "All right, I'm gonna try this out." But
Yeah.
it wasn't until like when I started to try it out, dude, I started to think like, dude, whoever, you know, created this, like did their math, bro. Like I was just like this dude,
Thank you.
because I was looking at the size of the bottle and
Yeah.
then it has a shaker, it's ready to spray, you know, and I remember for me, back then when I would buy like House of Color paint,
Mm-hmm.
I was always a little paranoid of where to keep the paint because they never sold it in 1 ounce bottles. It was
Yep.
always like big jars or like four
Yeah.
ounces or
At least
16.
pint or something. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And I was like scared, like thinking, dude, where am I gonna put all this stuff? Like, you know?
Every single thing you build end up being like neon pink or something.
Yeah, dude, I was like tripping out. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell am I gonna
Yeah.
do? But this right here, having a bottle that size, you
Mm-hmm.
know, for 1 ounce that you know came out with, I was like, yo, this is dope. Like this fits in like little shelves in so many different places, you know, that you
Mm-hmm.
could put it in even in carry cases, like if you're going somewhere.
Yep.
It was just like I was just like, man, like whoever did it, bro, like definitely did their math for
It
sure.
took some time though to perfect it. Let me put it that way. In the beginning, I have to say it was really rough, but with everyone's positive support along the way, it couldn't have been done without any of it. So I'm really thankful for the community for supporting the brand and letting it continue to grow.
Yeah, and like during that time when you had started, were you already thinking, you know, like I have like a way for me to get out there is I gotta hit up like these like model shows, especially like a NNL West.
Yeah, that was no brainer because I was so new to the community. I haven't gone to meets myself. So in
Hmm.
order for me to get my foot in the door, that was a necessary step in order to get my name out there. So I started. The first show was local. It was a local Portland show. It was a really small show and got some interest, but it wasn't the demographic that I was looking for. So I ended up booking a flight to Phoenix to the IPMS Nationals that happened a few years back, um, and that was an eye-opening moment because it's IPMS National. It's one of the biggest shows that you'll see anywhere. So it was definitely an eye-opening moment, and learned a ton of stuff, and made ton of new connections, and those connections really really helped me to be where I am today. And then all the people from Atlanta, like the Acme, I want to give them a quick shout out because of how much support they showed for the brand. So I'm really highly appreciative of them for when I went over there. They were very supporting and caring, which I really appreciated. So definitely, I've only gotten love. So I shall, return the love back to the community.
Man, right on. That's cool. And
Hmm.
during those, when you had started, how many colors did you start with? What was like the first initial colors?
I think 30. 30. That's when like the Revell 4 GT LM, the Le Mans racing car, the race car came out. So that was one of the key item that I focused on. So I like prepared like the solid color and also the metallic color for the standard, the red, white, and blue livery.
Yeah, and when you had those colors, were did you already have like the primer and the clears yet, or did those come later?
So I did have the select range, but it was very unrefined. So it was kind of too thick, I would say. So it was, people had issue spraying a little bit of dusting in here and there, so I had to refine it. But initially, I only offer 2K primer and 2K clear coats. I've played with, a few different stuff. 1K, it actually, the first 1K primer that came out was water based, but I had a lot of issues logistically because of if you keep the metal ball that's inside for agitating the paint, it actually started to rust. And you have to be very meticulous with the application. It was just really difficult to use. So we ended up having to discontinue it. I'm all for 1K clear as well, but people love the 2K, super smooth leveling clear that we are known for. It was kind of not even making a dent on the sales numbers. So I ended up just discontinuing and perfecting the 2K clear solution. But we did ended up coming out with some acrylic lacquer 1K primer in multiple shade. Currently, we offer white, light gray, dark gray, and black. Oh, and also oxide red available. So those are really easy to use, and those have been kind of go-to primer for everyone.
Yeah, dude. I like that you guys have that selection of the primers. I didn't know how important like the different shades were.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that like later in the game, but I remember always sticking to just the great primer. And
Good
then
old times.
yeah, and then once I started to see, people using other shades, or they would, introduce, this other color is now available, oxidized or whatever, and I would be like, why are they coming out with those or what? And my friend was telling me like, no, whatever you start with on the bottom, it depends your outer color,
Mhm.
what you want to bring in, the kind of tone that you want to do. Because I remember trying to paint like a white car or a yellow car using like a really dark primer, and
Uh-huh.
dude, that thing was like all ugly. Like the shade, like the tone of it was super dark. It didn't even pop. It didn't look great. And it just took time, of
Yeah.
education and watching videos to kind of just put two and two together. Like, oh, okay, I get it. And once I saw, all these colors, I was like, yo, like this is super cool.
Hmm.
And the clear, I was like back then, like I was saying, like about House of Color, I was very like I mean, I still love the brand, but at the
Yeah.
time I was very like thinking like this is it, like this is all I'm gonna use forever. And
Yeah.
and then when I started using their clear, like I like their clear and everything, but I was always like, like damn, I have so much clear, like I don't know where to put it and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And then finally, like when I started to use your clear and I
Hmm.
sprayed a GTR car, I was like, yo, this is so dope. Like, and I was telling my friends, all of them that use House of Color, like, yo, that it's over. I'm like, this right here is like match right up there with that show clear, dude.
Hmm.
Like, dude, it's so dope. Like, and they're like, for real, man? No, yeah, for real. Like, what do you mean? I'm not gonna tell you something that it's not. And
Yeah, of course.
and
Got to keep
dude,
it real.
Nah, man. I was like super happy because now I was like, that's cool. I have it in small little bottles now,
Hmm.
and then the process is such easy to mix too,
Hmm.
because with other kind of clears, you have to do different ratios and you have to use like three different components. and
Yeah.
and I know like for some people like it. I mean, I didn't mind it, but I know other people I've talked to, they don't like it. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't have the time. I make a mess. I just want to get straight
Yeah.
to the point and
Yeah.
like mix a couple things, or if it's ready to spray, even better.
Hmm.
And that was one of the things that I thought was awesome. Was it's just you just have the two components and you're ready to go. Mix them up,
Yep.
and it's ready to spray. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, like right now, how many colors? Because when I go to your site, I take my time looking at every color. But how many colors are we at now?
We're looking at close. We're getting closer to 450, I would say, 450 different shades.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a grip of colors. That's dope, though.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't realize how many different shades of like blue or red or yellow that are out there. But it's nice to be able to see that palette.
Mhm.
Like if you just type in red or yellow and you get to see all the little squares of all the colors that you offer, and it makes it makes it easier to kind of decide which tone, which one you want to go with.
It helps to visualize the color.
Yeah, nah, it does. And you know sometimes like it's kind of hard when you go to, let's say, like a hobby store,
Hmm.
and they just have like just the rattle cans, right? Or they might have enamels laying around that no one's even really getting anymore unless for detail. But
Yeah.
you're kind of narrowing it down to just like these are all the colors.
Yep.
These are all the colors that's there. But when you got a catalog like the one you got, it's like
Hmm.
now you have like 400 some colors to choose
Yep.
from, and
Hmm.
it definitely is gonna make you like take some time to look and be like, all right, I'm gonna try to pick the right one
Hmm.
that I'm gonna really go with on this car. So
Hmm.
that's pretty cool, man. Do you think that at some point, I don't know, I mean, for sure it's gonna happen, but I'm thinking, you're gonna be doubling that number within a year or two. I don't know, cause
So the challenge is, so the thing is, the selection we have is only the tip of the iceberg. So
oh damn.
yeah, so but here's the fun part though. So that's why we started offering custom color, because we would get all these suggestions, but when the logistics needs to happen, the demand is not enough. So for me, the current palette, the selection that we have right now, is just for the very generic, the very standard yellow, reds, popular names that people know, like Midnight Purple, 2, 3, and so on. So I try to help people visualize the generic stuff on a palette. They'll have a lot of demand, but if people have specific needs, I do offer. A lot of people use custom color, and also through customers' requests, I was able to actually pull a lot of really cool colors that I wouldn't have found on my own. So it's been so those two kind of have been working together in order to create the palette and so on.
That's awesome. So like if customers want to, get a custom color done, that's a service you guys do provide.
Yep, absolutely. It's all on our website.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the category with all the different styles like the McLarens, the Ferrari, the
Yep.
American BMW, Porsche, Lamborghini. Especially when someone's doing a build that
Hmm.
that happens to fall into that category, or if they can always switch it up and use, be open to use a different color from a different style of car.
Hmm.
But I feel like when you visit your site and you click on, let's say, Porsche, and you start to see all the different colors, dude, it's
Hmm.
it's really like eye candy.
Yep.
And like seeing all that. And I think another thing that works really great is the artwork that is with the color. like the way each one of those little squares, like how it's like laid out?
Yeah, so that's the new kind of styling that I've been kind of striving for with a car right smack in the middle, like a pop art style, and with the names kind of in the background. So it kind of highlights the color of the vehicle. Eventually, the website will be going through some updates, so like the things will be slightly reorganized. But eventually we want to replace all the old, thumbnails into the current one that we show.
Yeah, because they look cool, man. They look pretty cool. Um, Man, I start telling you, you should do stickers of all of them. Nah, trading cards. That would be crazy. Um,
Ooh,
yeah,
okay, you're giving me ideas now.
have them in a 9 pocket binder, the sleeves and everything.
It's like the pin people, like the Leon's custom pin is a huge game. It looks like.
Dang, that's cool.
No.
Nah, nah, nah.
Oh, it's like a little car, like a
Hmm.
pin that people collect. It's really cool. Like it's like based on real cars, like Rocket Bunny, Liberty Walk. They've done tons of collab with big names.
Oh, you know what? I think I have seen like
Hmm.
pins because I've even seen like that company Tarmac Works that does the 164 scale
Yes,
cars.
yeah,
They're selling
yes.
like pins too.
Hmm.
And that style, the way they're doing them, I'm starting to see that, and they do look pretty neat, like a collector's item.
Yeah,
Damn, that's cool.
interesting. Yeah, it is.
And like right now at this point with the business, like how many years has it been now?
um, four, and it's going into five.
Into 5. And during that whole time, you know, going through, did you ever feel like with like the struggle, like did you ever face something that you were like, man, I need to pivot the business. I need to switch this up in order to get over this wall.
Yeah, yeah, just like any other business, I have my own set of challenges that are thrown at me without any notice. So I had to be very adaptive with certain things, but mostly it was just problem solving. So if let's say if like a supply chain issue come up, then I have to have kind of a backup plan while keeping my set cost. So as long as I'm working quick on a matter, usually I can resolve it pretty quick. So yeah, but other than that, it's been joy working and learning, having mental breakdowns, and it made me stronger. So I'm definitely thankful how the business kind of shaped me as a person as well.
Yeah, I mean those things, like it's like they have to happen, right? In order to shape
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
business model, because if everything's like in the up and up, and it keeps going up, and then
Mhm.
when something happens, it's almost like you freak out if you're not
Yeah.
used to that. But it's kind of better to go through those moments early
Mhm.
on and midway, to kind of when when the business is growing and everything, and you run into that or something repeats itself, you already know how to handle that situation.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool, man. And is this like your day job? Like, is this all you do, or do you still do like you have
Uh,
a day job aside from this?
so right now, this is my main things. I've been putting all of my time into Splash Paints. Yeah,
Man, congrats, bro. That's
thank
awesome,
you.
dude. I mean, that's kind of one of my goals.
Yeah,
I still have I work for my family business. They have,
yeah.
my parents own a flower shop, and
Mm.
I mean, I work. I say it's like this is like my other job too, like running the
uh,
scale right, like the store and all that.
yes,
But
yes.
I mean, it's fun. Like I love it, But once you start like having to pack orders at a certain time at night or whatever,
Yeah,
that's when you feel like, all right, this is like work right here.
yeah.
Um, but my
Man, that's
that's
great.
but that's one of the goals though, is to kind of
Mhm.
slowly, part time from my parents, and then eventually move on 100% just doing
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. And out of your line of paints, what is your favorite color or
Uh,
colors?
God, you're making this difficult. So usually I'm a big fan of metallic. So that's first thing I would say is metallic. And I really like cool effect. Like one of, let's say I have two that are my favorite. One is a hyper silver. It's like a reflective, almost chrome-like finish if applied correctly. It's a stunning silver that kind of catches your eye because it looks different than any other silver. And my other one would be the Lamborghini purple.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that metallic, that silver one that you just mentioned, that one works really great with like the candies
Hmm.
when applied. Yeah, that one right there, I would recommend that to anybody that does like custom painting with lowriders. That's
Mm,
definitely a to go to because most people will primer the car, then they'll hit it with the
yeah.
metallic like that, especially if they're gonna do some candies.
Hmm.
And but you also offer like pearl colors as well.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the color, but a lot of times if the color is metallic, you can usually kind of tell if it's pearlescent or, just straight up aluminum kind of like pigments. Is usually the sheen will have a certain tone to it if it has certain pearl color. So, for example, for white, it'll have kind of a white sheen to it. But the Lamborghini purple, for example, it has purple pearl, little bit of red pearl, um, and when the light's hitting, you can kind of see the hue of the pearl. So that's kind of a one way to kind of distinguish if it doesn't describe on the website.
Yeah, and mostly the products that you create, it's recommended that you use the primers and the paints and the
Yeah.
clears all together as
Hmm.
one. But your product is also like pretty universal that you can use with other other lacquers.
So as far as the primer and the clear coats go, absolutely yes, it can be used under and over any other type of paint. But for the base coat, the colors, you have to be cautious and not to spray um, too heavy over, let's say, like a Mr. Hobby or Tamiya primers because of slight chemistry difference between the two. So it causes a reaction if applied too heavily. So people that like to use Tamiya and Mr. Hobby primers, they tend to just kind of dust it on, kind of build it up very slowly over various coats.
Nice. Yeah, and I like that, it how you said, how you described it, you can use it, but you got to be careful
Hmm.
on like the base coat colors. But I think for most people it's kind of cool, like if you're introducing them to paint, especially a product like yours, because someone who's new and says, all right, I want to, I've been using the rattle cannon, I want to airbrush, I want to
Hmm.
get into airbrushing. So it's like it's going to be cool to already have a ready to spray primer,
Mm.
and then from there a ready to spray color. And if they need help, or even the explanation is so basic and simple for
Yeah,
the clear,
pretty straightforward.
is
Yep.
super straightforward. And I don't see any buddy trying it out that's going to be discouraged, like to be like, oh, well, no, I'm pretty sure you got to give it a go, and obviously
Yep.
with time and practice you're going to dial it in and get it. But
Yep.
it's very user friendly, you know.
And not only that, the products were actually designed to exceed the competitors' products. So let's say the primer, for example, it's is a lot stronger, durable. It dries faster. You can sand it quicker. It's just better in every other way. It like covers fast and it's ready to go out of the bottle. So in those regards, it definitely provides more than just the easy to use aspect to the builder. It also offers durability, longevity, same thing. And looks great and easy to use. Those are the three components that I was really focusing on creating the product.
Yeah, damn, dude. Well, you guys are definitely hitting it out of the park for sure. Um,
Thank you.
with that, I still remember when I had announced that I was gonna start selling like hobby tools and offering
Hmm.
like other things, in the beginning, that's all the main focus I was going for.
Yeah.
And but as time went on, I started reaching out to different companies, distributors to
Yeah.
purchase and sell, the products that they were carrying.
Hmm.
And through time, I started to build a relationship with one of the reps, and
Hmm.
he would always, reach out to me, give me a phone call, and we talk
Yeah.
for hours.
Sure.
And he was just like, kind of just, telling me like, hey man, the dude's out in Canada, and the dude would be like, yo, I'm looking at your site, and yeah, I see the things you have, and that's cool. I see you're getting kits now and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
the one thing I noticed you don't have is paint. He's like, why don't you have any paint? And he
Yeah.
started kind of like grilling me about it, and I was like, oh man. So I'm over here like just being honest with them, like, you know what, I don't have it because I don't know where to put it. I don't
Yeah.
have really a storage spot or where. I don't want to keep it in my house because I have some stuff here, and I also don't want to keep it in the other place where I keep it at because I have like a
Yeah.
couple places where I was like storing the stuff. So then
Hmm.
he would just be like, dude, well, you need to get paint because I mean, if anything, that right there is what's gonna help you generate more sales.
Yep.
And if you don't have it, it's gonna also hurt you from not having it.
Mm.
So, and he was telling me, we have some paint too, but I'm not trying to tell you like, yo, get this paint. I'm just trying to make you aware that
Mhm.
you need some paint
Right.
on your site.
Yeah.
And I started, to really think about it, and I was like, well, there's no way in hell I'm gonna carry like House of Color,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have pints in like huge jars, like even worse, right? Like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
nightmare in the fucking on the pad, hell no. And then on top of that, I was just like, one of the important things he told me was, if you're gonna get paint, make sure it's a company or a place that you know that you're gonna always be able to get it and fast,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
I was like, why? What do you mean? He's like, because if you run out or something, you don't want to be ordering something, let's say a paint from like Japan, and
Hmm.
they're shipping that to you from Japan. It's gonna
Yeah.
take forever for you to get it, or from other
Hmm.
places.
Hmm.
And then I started to reach out to the people in the community.
Yeah.
I started hitting up all my friends that I talk to on the frequent, but then also other even customers, different people, and I even
Hmm.
had gotten some suggestions, and most of them were like recommending me Splash, and
Really?
I was like, oh, right on. And then like George Vision 124,
Yeah.
he was one that was like, yo, check it out, I'm working on this Porsche right here. He started
Hmm.
showing me the Splash, all this stuff that
Hmm.
I was like, dude, like, like this is the direction, this is what I want to go. And then
Yeah. Absolutely.
once we got in contact, and and we got connected and everything, but then when I noticed how fast it had arrived and
Yeah.
where it was coming from, I was like, yo, well, dude, like this is, like what the dude was telling me, what he was recommending. I mean, this was the answer.
Yeah.
And yeah, as time went on, I started to build a catalog, getting things little by little.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just like I started to see like, oh wow, like more and more people are picking up, the order started to shift, like
Mm.
I was always packing like sanding materials and tools, and then little by little paint was being placed in those orders, and then
Mm.
later it turned into like 100% just paint going out in this
Wow.
order. And I was
Interesting.
like, whoa, what the heck? Like I started to notice a lot of these changes. And
Yeah.
then what made it more special too later was when I finally had the kit, somebody would buy a kit, and then they'd buy like a primer,
Mm.
a color,
Mm.
and a clear.
Mm.
And I'm going, oh damn, like like they're gonna paint this car this color most likely,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So I was pretty hyped on all that.
That's that. Oh, that's so good to hear because I never really received that side of the story from a vendor. I tend to reach out and ask how things are going, but usually I get a pretty blunt answers, which
Hmm.
is fine. But yeah, I'm really glad you're telling me that because that kind of helps me to kind of get an understanding of on the retailer side as
Yeah.
well.
Nah,
Interesting.
yeah, and you know, one of my friends, he lives up north. His name
Hmm.
is Javier.
Yeah.
He's like a custom painter. He paints like different things, motorcycles, like cars, like every he pinstriper. Like he does all these like different various things.
Anything on wheels.
Yeah, right. And he used to do. He started off with model cars too back in the day.
Okay, that's
And
interesting.
you know, the last time I was out at NNL West, and this was
Hmm.
before the COVID had hit, and even
Yeah.
before I even like decided, oh, I'm gonna start selling stuff. Right? I was just, you
Yeah.
know, just rocking scale riders, like getting, you know, taking photos and videos and whatever. Just more
Yeah.
on like the content side of things, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I remember, like
So.
I met up with him because he was up there. I was like, yo, I'm gonna be up there, and
Yeah.
me and him hit up New Type,
Yeah.
the store. So we hit up New
Yeah.
Type, bought some stuff, and I remember him just like he was like tripping because he lives like down the street from them, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and he was tripping out like, what? I didn't know this place was here, you know. And
Yeah.
this was like when they were letting people in like to shop. I
Mm.
don't know if they still
I've,
do that
I've
anymore.
I've done a demo there in September before COVID thing hit.
Oh, right on, yeah, and you know the place is huge, so
Yeah, the big facility.
I remember we were looking at like all the different paints and everything, and we're looking at all the kits. And then the following day, we met up again, and we went to NNL West,
Oh,
and we were kicking it. And I remember he was over at your booth, or he was, you know, looking at the splash stuff,
yeah.
and he was like just looking at everything. And I remember him like telling me like, yeah, I was like looking at the colors, and the dude was cool. He would let you get the color and shake the bottle and like look at it and everything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know,
Touch it.
he was very like hyped about it. So during that time, fast forward, you know, to when I was like starting to get your product in, you know,
Hmm.
to add on to the story, he's like, I told him about it, and he's like, dude, he's like, if you're gonna invest like money into paint,
Yeah.
he's all that's the paint you want to invest in.
Yeah.
He's like, I would not hesitate to increase the like the catalog
Yeah.
in that brand. He's like, it's a good brand, dude. He's like, you gotta go in, like, you know. And I'm like, nah, yeah, like, I'm not gonna be looking around. Like, I'm happy with what it
Mm.
is, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I just thought of him right now when we were like talking about all this because I remember him too, like motivating me more to be
Yeah.
like, yo, like you need to get this because, you know, it's like there's certain things like that I was like, man, I can't. It's hard for me to carry this product. Like there's other
Yeah.
products that I kind of had to retire just
Yeah.
because it was like really hard
Hmm.
to sell. You know,
Hmm.
either there's too much competition for it or there's really just no interest in those tools or things. You know, and with this it's different. I mean, the paint ties in really nice
Hmm.
with the colors, you know, even new colors that you release that people want, you know, of new cars and projects that they want to
Yeah.
add. And I mean, you also do, you know, other colors for even for people in the community that do like the Gundam as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Absolutely.
that's pretty dope that
Hmm.
that you do that. So out of like all the products, what would you say is like by far like the most popular with your customers?
The clear cut for sure. No question. No question about it.
Dude, remember there was a time when you like sold out of clear and like it was taking a minute to kind of get, and
Yeah.
I
That's
sold out
when.
of it and I was like, yo, what happened in that situation?
Um.
I mean, you
I
don't got to
think.
get too deep into it, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think of it. I think. I think that's when COVID hit.
hmm
So I think all the vendors had, like suppliers had issues getting this stuff.
yeah, that makes yeah, because it was super hard to get anything around that time for
Yeah,
sure.
so I've been trying to scavenge everything I could
hmm
to make it happen, but yeah, it takes some time to find necessary components to make the parts.
Yeah, nah, dude, that clear it definitely. It's like you should just have that on the front of the page, bestseller. Nah,
Yeah,
dude.
looking for this
Yeah, it's
came for
right here.
this.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. And you know, out of you know, there's a lot of obviously a lot of modelers in so many communities: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
Hmm.
and different states all over the U.S. But can you name or who are some of the models? You don't have to go into all of them, but maybe
Oh,
some people that you work
I
with.
mean, they're all awesome people, so I have to give them credit for each one. I do have a list. It's usually on my following list. Let's see, like modelcars.ca. His name's Blake from Canada. He does really sick builds. We did like a Senna together. He also built like a Subaru, um, like a custom Jeep. Yeah, he did a bunch of stuff. I'm a big fan of his work. Um, like Hot Wheels Works. Victor from California. He's awesome to work with. He does some fantastic stuff with the 1/64th scale Hot Wheels. Like Scott from South Carolina. He's been very helpful for me, and he's just awesome guy all around, and his builds are freaking just on top of the world. So everyone should check it out. It's Scott's underscore scaled underscore builds. Next, let's see. Wes, do you know Wes by any chance?
Yeah.
Wes,
Wes
yeah, Wes
Salazar.
is a yep. Wes is a great, awesome guy, great builder. He's probably the number one guy if you want to get some tips on polishing, because he does awesome work with his clear coat polishing magic. And then we have, let's see, Bill Koff from Scaled by
Yeah,
SNAX.
snacks.
Yeah, Snacks. So Bill, awesome guy, great builder. I think he's like an ambassador for Aoshimano.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does awesome work, and he's been very supportive of us. And let's see, yeah, those are few of one of the few key people, and I've been starting to dabble at a few projects here and there. Oh, and also Asi Erev is a, I think that's how you say his name. AE Hobbies on Instagram.
Yeah, Arev, though he does like all the
Yeah, the
carbon
carbon guy.
fiber.
The
Damn, that
carbon
that
guy.
dude kills it
He
with that.
oh, on top of the world.
Crazy.
He does just phenomenal work. We are doing a 240 ZG build together. He is using Poppy Red, one of the Mustang colors. And with the carbon accents, holy smokes, it will just blow anyone out of their breath
That's so
for sure.
crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, those are a few of the key people I've been working with, and I'm starting to make more, really starting to build more relationship with others, new content creators. So it's absolutely exciting.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who you named, dude, they're dope. And I was tripping out on snacks because it wasn't too long that I've had him on the podcast.
Hmm.
And I mean, I didn't really know how long he had been doing model building for.
Yeah.
But he's getting close to like 2 years.
Hmm.
And dude's like he's like killing it. Like he's doing such great work
I
that
agree.
I'm
Absolutely.
like, man, I was not doing that around that time. Like within a couple years.
Yeah.
Like it's like really clean and nice. But now that's awesome, dude. I'm glad that you're working with artists and working hand in hand because they're a talent and I mean they're executing it with your
Hmm.
product.
Hmm.
So that's pretty cool. And what are your future goals? I know we're like halfway through this year. There's still a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, right now I'm just trying to get the name out there more than anything, because I am still relatively new and very small company. But when the things are pretty hard to get my foot in the door when others are kind of settled in, like Tamiya, Mr. Hobby. They're all been around for a while. So one of the challenges that I've been having is just getting my foot in the door. So I think I'll try to approach more shops and whatnot to increase the amount of dealers so more people can try our products. Other than that, we are kind of just slowly increasing things, for cars, for example. If there are new releases, we kind of add new colors to it. And if like a Gundam folks have special needs, I try to cover those bases if possible. But going forward, I definitely want to kind of get into military stuff because I know acrylic is more used, but I definitely saw a market for lacquer military colors. So that's one of the things I want to tackle down the line, but don't really have a set agenda for it.
Yeah, and right now, currently, with the authorized dealers, you have dealers here in the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
Canada, Europe, Asia, and UK.
Mm-hmm.
And but you also can ship worldwide as well, direct and like to Mexico and Canada.
To a lot of countries, yes.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, and I mean, I know I sell the products on my website, but I know for sure, there's tons more colors on the website splashpaints.com. There's just so many. I'm trying to catch up. I'm over I'm over here playing catch up. But
Yeah.
if anything, even if you need custom colors, I mean, definitely hit up the site splashpaints.com. There's just so much, dude. It's a trip, man. Like whenever I'm getting ready to order, I'm just like, sorting through all the colors and
Yeah.
everything there. And I mean, I think that's great that you want to, get into like the military stuff and other kind of colors because I know once you have things like that available, it's going to open eyes for a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
to want to get these products as well or try them out.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something that's going to come in. And there's, one of the things that also wanted to mention is you also do the upholstery, the interior colors as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those are nice, man.
Oh, so how are those doing? I kind of wanted
Yeah,
to ask.
dude, I sell out of those pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm due for a re-up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be getting that email soon.
Okay.
But no, yeah,
Wait
I
for
would
that.
say, I mean, black for sure is like the number one. But then like colors like that gray, the cream color, even the red. I mean, those are like always like flying off the shelf, I guess, like the way people say it.
Mm-hmm.
But those are colors that I know I'm consistently because I know in the beginning it was only like I might have carried four, but it got to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get them all. Like
Yeah.
I gotta get all the colors, you
Yeah.
know. And just the display of how you show what like the spoons, how you shot
Mm-hmm.
over it, like either over a light base or dark base. That right there is a really good
Mm-hmm.
example representation of that color.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, the customer gets an idea of what kind of tone they're gonna go with for their interior.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are really nice. The int-
Yeah, so the reason why I did that, especially for those compared to just a regular, let's say, standard colors, is because they're designed to be a little more transparent. So what we do is it has a little bit more of a carrier agent. So the base color is able to reflect more on the final flip. So, like, let's say the dark oak. Dark oak is probably, I would say, one of the most popular interior colors because if you look at the preview photos, depending on how dark or light the base is, it brings out significant different results. So, what some people did was they would do like a wood the age rings or the texture with like a darker, like a black or like a dark gray over like a light gray,
Hmm.
and then they would shoot dark oak over it, and it would give like this weird, trippy, real wood effect to the final finish. So it was kind of interesting to see how it was used, but definitely that was the sole purpose for to show what it's capable of, what it's intended for,
Yeah,
really.
man, that's cool. Man, yeah, I could see that. Especially like, sometimes people want to use like balsa wood or other like just like a wood effect in their interiors or even like the bed of a truck,
Yes.
and they could use that right there.
hmm
That's neat. How's the like? How does it feel when you, or how do you feel when you see, you know, modelers busting out like with your paints? And
It
there's a lot of people for sure, but like, how's that feeling like when you go on Instagram and you see someone
well,
showcasing their build?
yeah, I definitely want definitely it's definitely cool to see stuff like that, but my sole intent was to make everyone happy. I'm able to start a business, and other people are able to use easy to use products that'll give them fantastic result without doing too much work or being without the need of being skilled at modeling. So I think it's beneficial all around. So to me, that was the ultimate goal. So I'm very happy with what I've achieved, and want to do bigger things down the line for sure.
Nice. Yeah, right now, there's so many things going on. The model car community's been blowing up, and there's new people getting into it,
hmm
and the ones that have been into it, they're taking it already to like another level. And
hmm
and then you have, a lot of the people in the Hot Wheel community or 164 scale that are like just doing customs. They're starting to now, go into it. Some people were very hesitant, a little nervous. I don't know how to do
hmm
it. But now,
Yeah,
now they're starting to bust the cars out of the packaging,
yeah,
and stripping them, painting them, and
yeah,
that's a whole other avenue there too.
yeah.
And you got Gundam, military, like each one of those worlds is just becoming more and more. So it's
hmm
like, you definitely have a lot of like communities and builders and artists that are there that definitely, you know, should be, and I'd recommend to be using the products for
Yes.
sure. That's a fact right there.
So, for Gundams, how are you doing on those? Are you kind of getting into it slowly, or?
Yeah, I like some years back, maybe like a year or two, like
Mhm.
during COVID,
Yeah.
I was always, I have my friend Dennis Matthews, like me and him, we go back and forth, watching, like he'd tell me watch this anime, I'd watch it, and then would be like building, like he builds some, and then I'd buy a kit and I build one, and then we started getting into like customizing them as well, and just
hmm
like scribing them and all that. But I didn't really get to the painting phase on them yet, just
hmm
because I was just doing a lot of custom work. If anything, I have some pieces that are just primered,
Yeah.
and just getting them ready like for paint. And when I saw that you came out with like the mecha line,
hmm
I was like, oh, like this is cool right here, because it's like the, especially those colors that you came out with.
hmm
I was like, I was telling one of my friends like, yo, even some of these colors, like, because they kind of, some of them were like somewhat pastel.
Yeah, pastel, definitely,
I was
yes.
like, yo, you can use these in like some classic cars too,
hmm
you know. But for the Gundams, it definitely fits, and now I haven't really. I still have some kits and I still have all the figures that I built,
hmm
like they're in a box. I haven't. I just don't have room for them right now, like to bust
Yeah,
out. Right now, it's mostly the cars that are like on my table that I'm working
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but that right there, I've always had an interest, and I feel like my friend Dennis has made me like them more, just because
Mm,
of like, me and him talking about them, and we're always like looking at photos or finding stuff to share to each other.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's cool. Then I met other people in the Gundam community that build too, and I went to a show once, and out here in Southern California, and that
Mm,
show blew my mind. I was like, yo,
re-
like this is all right. I see some of the top players in this that are displaying their builds, and
mm,
I just knew like, yo, this is like a whole like big world right here too.
yeah.
And I guess one of the relationships that I felt it had hand in hand with model car building is the tools.
Mm,
Because a lot of the tools that the Gundam community was using for their builds,
yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yo, like this tool can easily solve the problem that people are having on building the car or even scribing the panel lines and all this and
Mm,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Because with with model cars, the only scriber that was I ever saw advertised and everybody was using it was the one from Bare Metal Foil.
Mm,
And that scriber is cool, but I felt like it was just digging in too deep. And
really
like the
interesting.
line, the line was the like let's say if it's like 1 millimeter, or no, not
Yeah.
1 millimeter, like was it one or a 0.1? It
Yeah.
started to extend it even bigger. Like let's say like if it
Really?
went to a 0.3 or a 4, like the
So
more
it wasn't consistent.
yeah, nah. And I was like, and even other friends were telling me like, nah, I don't use that. I use my hobby knife.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ah, I can't use a hobby knife." So then once I started getting into like panel lining with the Gundams, and I saw like
Okay. Yeah.
there was like maybe at the time like 5 different brands that were doing scribers.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like these right here would work perfect
Yeah.
in the car world.
So
You
which one did you end up going with?
there was a company called Suji Burrito that
Oh.
they're no longer around, I don't think.
Oh,
And they were coming out with like their first like chisels,
yeah.
and I remember obtaining like they're said those things are so hard to find now. And if you find them, like one chisel will probably be like $60 or something. They're
He's not
ridiculously expensive, and they weren't even that expensive when they came out. Um,
real.
but now, I mean, now you can use Display, you can use MadWorks,
Mhm.
Gun Primer. Like they each make their own, like
Mm,
scriber, and they all work
yeah.
well. Is
Okay.
now at this point, it's just preference. It's just whatever. If you're a Display fan and you're buying all their products, most
Go
likely you're gonna buy their scriber. If you're,
Yeah.
or if you're a fan of MadWorks, because they each kind of do their own like full extensive line.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have both, but still, it's like I don't know. I don't know if I guess I'm just buying them because I'm kind of geeking out on them and
Hmm.
somewhat knowing the history of all these like different chisels, like which one came out first,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And then right now there's another one called Sab or Saab, SAB, and
Never heard.
a lot of the Gundam stores sell it, but that's actually I want to say like the same copy as the Suji Burrito.
Oh.
So when
Huh.
Suji Burrito was like done, COVID, the pandemic messed them up. Like,
Real.
cause they would do those by hand, and they
Yeah.
and they were limited edition. Like they would say that, um, just they would like every year, let's just say I don't know. I'm gonna just make this up. Like during the summer, they'd make like a certain set of them, and then they would inspect them, and that's it. This is the full run for this year. Next year
Mm,
we'll do another run and another one.
yeah.
So they were
Oh,
very rare, hard to find.
holy
And
smoke.
and then once like they went under, all of a
Yeah.
sudden this company emerged, like, and no one knew where they came from or what, but it was the same tool, the same thing. They just changed the name, and then eventually later, I don't even really know if where they're from. I don't know if they're being made in Korea or China, but it was like very secretive. But all of a sudden, like a lot of the main Gundam stores started selling them,
Interesting.
and I was like, huh. I was like, all right. And then I remember looking into it to see if I can get them,
Yeah.
and then it took a while, but then somebody pointed me to the source. They were like, all right, hit this company up, and you'll be able to get them in your store. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't dove deep into that though yet.
Yeah.
I'm
Huh.
I'm still kind of just waiting like to see what, but I mean the I'm slowly carrying Gundams like
Hmm.
or Bandai products
Yeah.
into the store.
Hmm.
I'm not like fully yet because my focus has been more the cars and
Yeah, yeah,
market
absolutely.
products and the paint. But eventually, I feel like once I'm in a better position to expand and like with that and have the proper space,
Hmm.
then I'll definitely I'll go for that, dude. And that's kind of one of my goals too, is to have like a store like where people could come in as
For
well,
any.
and like shipping and all that. And
Yeah.
who knows, man? Like it's one of those things that if I had a spot now, I'd do so many like events and things, and I'd invite you, man, come through.
Yeah.
We'll do like a splash paints, introduction like for people if they want to like give it a go, get to meet you, whatever, like I don't know, even like a special release of something
Ooh, yeah, that'd be
like a
fun.
release party. It's because I mean I'm used to like living in a small town, but then traveling out to LA back then and going to like a store, a record store,
Hmm.
record release party, and they'd release the new
Great.
album, the new
That's
this, the new that. Oh, the skate shop's gonna have like the new skateboard, from like
yeah,
I don't know Zero Board House or whatever. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna go get that, and they would make a big deal about it. Or a comic book store. Oh, it's this every Wednesday the new releases come out,
yeah.
and I like that hype, so. I would always think like, man, how dope would that be to make a big deal about something and invite
Yeah, yeah,
everybody? Be like,
yeah.
we're gonna do this thing. If you're 21 and over and you want to drink, you could drink. Not playing, but I don't know.
And like a taco truck or something
Yeah,
with
oh yeah, dude, they're all over. Like, you just give them the heads up, get the different flavor of foods. Yo, we're gonna be
yeah,
posted up right here. They'll come through for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But I don't know, man. I mean, I could see, you're headed in the right direction. Just
Thank you.
keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, I'm high, bro, that you're so young and you're doing this at the age you're doing it. So, the future, man, you got just so much time ahead of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and also, hearing your side of the story, just kind of learning from your experience and utilizing towards your business and having so much to grow, and you've been adding more stuff than I could ever think of. So, I could say that I will say the same to you, and I only want to see you doing better. So,
No, thank you, dude. Thank you. Yeah,
mhm.
and like, yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, and I hope
Yeah,
that we can see each other at a show too. If
yes, sir.
I know NNL's already next weekend, and I mean I won't be there. I
Yeah.
don't know if you'll be able to be there or not.
Oh,
Uh,
actually, I'm flying down there. So if
oh,
anybody wants to catch me, I'll have my Neptune Blue GR86 there. So if anyone wants to come swing through
there you
and
go.
take a look, catch me there.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so Sam from Splash Paints will be there at NNL West. If they switch things back, let's say to like next year, right, to January, around the time when they normally do it,
Yeah,
then
usually, yeah, but this one June, and I won't have a booth this time. Art Lasky was supposed to carry, but unfortunately, due to personal reasons, he cannot attend the show. So, but
yeah,
I'll be there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But like next year, if it's back to
Ooh,
I'll most likely
yeah,
will be there. I'll have more time to plan and be there. It's just there's just family stuff going down. I was already like, all right, I could probably bust the mission, and head out there because I have a lot
yeah.
of friends that are gonna be going up. But I'm like,
Oh,
nah, I don't want to push it. Like I already got some family stuff I gotta handle over here, and
yeah.
I won't be able to
And
go. But I know it's gonna be fun. A lot of people are gonna be out there. It's gonna be a fun time.
because it's been a while since everyone kind of gone out and hung out. So yeah, it will be. And how far is Santa Clara for you?
It's about I would say like 5 to 6 hour drive
Oh,
from
okay.
where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Ooh,
it's
that's not.
yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, before because I'm like 15 minutes away from or 10 minutes away from like downtown LA. So
Okay.
So it's like before I was living in Oxnard, and that saved me an hour to get there,
Yeah.
you know. But now that I'm over here on this end, that's about the distance. But it's not that bad though.
Okay.
If anything, you know, you're hyped on the drive there because like, you know,
Get some music going, and
hell
you're
yeah.
set.
Hey, you know what too is I'll keep you posted. I remember like the last time before they canceled, one of the homies, Alex, had like a pizza party night.
Mm,
The night before the NNL West. That was like the first time he did that for that
yeah.
event. And there was so many like maulers that showed up. And
Mhm.
it was a very intimate, like cool thing because everyone had their cars, everybody was talking. And I mean, if he if that does happen this coming up Friday, I'd
Mhm.
recommend if you could to go. I don't know. I'm gonna reach out to him to see if he's doing it, just because I feel like a lot of people were saying I had more fun at that than the show.
Oh,
I'm all
really?
dang, like
Forward me the info because I'm flying in Friday morning, and I'll be spending the entire Friday in Cali. Is it? Hold on, I gotta check my flight info again, but I think it's Friday, and then I sleep at the Marriott,
yeah,
and then will be spending time at the show, and then I'll be heading home the night of.
nice. See, that's cool. I wish I could do something like that.
Uh,
Dang, that's crazy. You should like once you land, post a video. I'm out here, pull up. Nah.
yeah, but thankfully I'm flying in. My friend from Arizona is driving, so he'll
Oh,
be
nice.
and the airport is like right next to the hotel, so there isn't much driving to do
Dang.
regardless.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
any shout outs or anything before we wrap this one up?
I mean, just like all the Instagram folks that I mentioned, without their help, I cannot do any of the things that I'm doing right now. So it's thanks to all that and all the vendors, including you, Edgar. I really appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me and all the feedbacks to
Oh,
make
thank you.
make me better. So feedbacks are very important. If there are any issues that arise with the stuff, then I'm always happy to change and improve.
Right on, dude. No, thank you, man. Hey, thank you for taking the time. This was fun. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Uh-huh.
And episode 167. If you guys
167
want to check out Sam on Instagram, at Splash Paints, also splashpaints.com.
slash-paints.com.
Yeah.
We unfortunately for the domain we lost the bid.
Yeah. Oh,
So we ended up keeping the dash in the in between, but
nah,
it's
right on.
only one finger away. So
Yeah, that, or just Google it. It'll be the first
yep,
listing right there. Bam.
yes,
Right
sir.
on, dude.
And
Awesome, man. Well, hey, we'll keep in touch, and I hope you have a lot of fun out there at the NNL West, and just be safe and keep us posted on the latest colors.
will do. Have a great night.
All right, man. You too. Take care.
Bye.